Hello, everyone. You've made it to the PFL Championships Recap show. This is the aftermath of what took place yesterday evening under the bright lights in our nation's capital. We saw 6 millionaire prizes award, 6 championship belts, 6 season winners in what was, some folks say it was a snooze fest. Other folks say it was a spectacular event. I'll let you decide what your professional opinion is. Now, one of the fights that fell off of the card, unfortunately, was Bubba Jenkins taking on Chris Wade. I was looking forward to that matchup at 145 pounds, the featherweight fight. And look what happened there. You had Chris Wade show up at 148 pounds, I believe, and Bubba Jenkins made weight. Apparently, a catch weight fight was spoken about, but never came to fruition, and neither fighter gets paid. So that's something that you talk about cutting weight on Thanksgiving morning. Oof, you talk about putting in an entire training camp, and then you don't get to compete. You don't get your purse. That is a tough pill to swallow for many. So my heart goes out to both of those fighters. I'm not even sure if they're going to run that back, because you have Bubba Jenkins, who, he wants to compete at 145 pounds, and you have Chris Wade, who made it clear even before weigh-ins that this was his last shot at 145 pounds. And if there was one person to bring him back to that weight class, it was going to be Bubba Jenkins, and that was not meant to be. So there you had it, folks. So that fight did not happen. And then you have 6 championship fights that went down, which were, many of them were spectacular. We'll get into it. I was most impressed with Impa Kasanganay, very impressed with his performance. Also, Jesus Pinedo, very, very impressive there. Let's walk our way through this card. You had Jesse Stern, who walked away victorious, first fight of the night, kicked off the card with a unanimous decision victory, and he defeated Josh Bladen. And let's talk about the second fight of the night, where we had Phil Caracappa, who defeated Kai Wu, and Kai Wu had no semblance whatsoever of a get-up game. That ended up costing him big time in the fight. You saw Caracappa was marching forward into the pocket, not moving his head one iota off the center line, and Wu was cracking him with counter shots, dropping Caracappa. But if you are not well-rounded, you can only get so far. And Kai Wu came into this fight with a questionable fight record, and I believe he is a coach of a media mogul, of someone who created Facebook. Perhaps one of you could let me know. Is it Mark Zuckerberg? Interesting. But that is not going to win you mixed martial arts fights, and it did not win him a fight against Philly's own Phil Caracappa. So Phil Caracappa, I don't want to say that minus 275 was value there, because he had some scary moments in that fight. He was dropped and bleeding like a stuck pig all over the octagon. But Caracappa walks away victorious there. Then you have a really strange situation where we had Biagio Ali Walsh, who, this is the second time I believe he's competed as an amateur on a PFL event, and he took on Joel Lopez. Man, it's not necessarily a great look when you're hosting amateur bouts on a pay-per-view event where you're expecting folks to shell out $50 per watch. I realized this was on the free prelims, but you had to have ESPN Plus to watch that. And Ali Walsh waltzed in and ended up laying the hammer on Joel Lopez numerous times, again and again. And Joel Lopez, you probably caught in the beginning of the rounds, he was saying, "I love you, bro." That didn't do him any favors there. There was no mercy inside of the octagon there. So Walsh walks away victorious. And I mean, he did the handiwork there. When is he going to turn pro? And also, how much is Joel Lopez getting paid to be beaten to a bloody pulp there? That is another question that needs to be asked. Fascinating fight that went down. Then you have the first millionaire of the evening, Jesus Pinedo, defeating Gabriel Alves Braga. And Braga's no longer undefeated. No longer undefeated. Jesus poured it on the length, the pace, the chin on full display. On full display. Impressive performance from Pinedo. And his UFC career is now a far cry. It's a distant memory. And he has not only $1 million in his bank account, he has his championship belt, and he is ready to conquer whoever may be coming his way. And you saw, I believe it was one of the Pitbull brothers come into the octagon and face off with Pinedo there. So he's probably, the Pitbull brother is probably chomping at the bit, looking forward to get his hands on Pinedo. I'd love to see that. Let's see that go down. Now, let's talk. This is a fight that a lot of people were clamoring. This was the people's main event for many folks. You had Derek Brunson taking on Ray Cooper III. And Derek Brunson came in, looked phenomenal on the scales, looked better than he had ever looked, to be honest. And Ray Cooper, we know, missed weight up a weight class, right? Looked horrible. Let's see. I'm just letting everybody know that we're going live here, that we are live. Hang on, bear with me, folks. We are live. And a couple of things we have to mention here is that Ray Cooper III looked like he came off the couch, had a little bit of a beer belly, he didn't bring the cardio with him. Also, the killer instinct wasn't there on full display. And then you had Derek Brunson, who was playing with his food, man. He was playing with his food. Derek Brunson has been able to finish opponents. We saw Darren Till, others. He can lock up submissions. Did not get it done there. Had no interest. Well, he did have interest in finishing the fight. But the thing about PFL is you cannot throw elbows when you're on top of an opponent. And that was a path to victory for Derek Brunson. But he did not want to get disqualified by throwing those elbows there, but he didn't have another way of winning this fight other than by unanimous decision. Ray Cooper came off the couch. I don't know. I heard Rob was telling me that there is a contract dispute on the Ray Cooper side. This is somebody who's won the $1 million a couple of times in the past, and he's a fighter who he will fight hard for your money, but typically that's at 170 pounds. So in my eyes, he had no business whatsoever being at 185 pounds. And then you look at Johnny Eblen licking his chops to get his hands on Derek Brunson. Let's see what the odds makers do with that fight. If they end up booking Johnny Eblen versus Derek Brunson, I don't know if it's going to happen. Brunson said that he got the bag, he made the bag, and that he may not be competing anymore. That may have been the last we've seen of Derek Brunson. Do you believe it? I'm a bit of a skeptic. I think that Brunson will probably come back. He liked that paycheck. And we've seen Dricus du Plessis run roughshod on Derek Brunson. And, you know, how good is Dricus du Plessis going to be fighting Sean Strickland for the title? And we saw what Dricus du Plessis did to the one and only Robert Whittaker. So Derek Brunson, where does he go from here? And I think that may have been the last we've seen of Ray Cooper. Not a good look. Not a good look with the company too, to miss weight up like that. And he didn't put on a good showing. Didn't even give his best effort. He didn't put his best foot forward there. So not a good look there. Then you had Kayla Harrison taking on Aspen Ladd, and Kayla Harrison came in as a massive favorite, and she disposed of Aspen Ladd rather handily. I wasn't necessarily impressed with either fighter here. Aspen Ladd, man, it looks like she cuts down from welterweight. I got to be honest. Aspen Ladd, she looks like a welterweight who tries to cut to lightweight. And she made it to 150 pounds. We've seen through the course of time, her weight goes up and up and up and up. She ballooned out of bantamweight into featherweight, beyond featherweight. Now we're at 150 pounds. It wouldn't surprise me to see Aspen Ladd at welterweight, but I don't believe there's a promotion that has women's welterweight fights. Please, in the comment section, let me know if there's a women's welterweight division. And then Kayla Harrison, this was a matter of the judo, the physicality, being a difference maker here. And they go all 5 rounds, right? Aspen Ladd had a few moments here and there, but the level of fight IQ for Aspen Ladd comes into question time and time again. How many times have we seen Aspen Ladd in her corner where they're screaming at her and they are berating her, and she comes out, and these situations aren't addressed in the backstage. They're under the bright lights where she's struggled to just implement her game plan. And Kayla Harrison, I mean, she's not necessarily a world beater. I think that Cyborg, even in her old age, has what it takes to defeat Kayla Harrison here. Kayla Harrison doesn't have much to speak of on the feet, and we've seen Sijara Eubanks throw down with Aspen Ladd in the past. And man, neither of these fighters impressed me much, as Miss Twain said. Now, let's move on here. Impa Kasanganay, look at what happened. Loses to Carlton Harris. We saw the Joaquin Buckley fight. And Impa Kasanganay, I've been fairly high on him throughout his mixed martial arts career. Athletic specimen, but also has the willpower and the tools. Not necessarily the ground game, but has the tools and the shots that have put him out. They would put anybody out. And here he is, a minimalist, just like Albin Mercier, a minimalist who went back to their roots and built themselves back up, and now walked away with $1 million in his pocket. So very impressed. Conan's son, not very impressive there. I know his career is young, but this was Impa's time, and I'm happy for Impa Kasanganay to walk away victorious there. And now he said he wants to move up to light heavyweight and take on somebody. I believe that happened. I'm not sure who Impa Kasanganay is going to fight next in the Bellator camp. Then we had a spot where a beautiful submission was locked up by Magomed Karimov, and he defeated Sadi Bausai in dramatic fashion. Sai, impressive striker, solid movement, very long fighter, and Magomed Karimov looked decent on the feet, as he typically does. And then when it came to getting it done on the mat, that's where the magic happened. And you saw the submission get locked up there, and a victory was won. Now, Magomed Karimov, he has, I believe that was his 33rd or 34th professional victory. He may not have much more in the tank. I think that his ceiling was reached a few fights ago. And I remember Ray Cooper knocking Magomed Karimov's block off in the 3rd round. And I'm not extremely high on Magomed Karimov, but if you think that he has what it takes to defeat folks at 185 pounds, let me know. Then we have Larissa Pacheco, who defeated Marina This is Sergey Spivak's, I believe, girlfriend or wife, and Larissa Pacheco. I posted yesterday when she took on Jessica Andrade. She looked like a completely different human being, and she's packed on about 30 pounds of muscle and put on a few classy neck tattoos. And here she is chomping away at that $1 million prize. Looks like the Terminator out there. She's another fighter who was playing with her food most of the evening. So my heart goes out to folks who play those inside the distance plays on Kayla Harrison and Aspen Ladd. And then you have Pacheco here taking on Marina. And Pacheco, she played with her food for all 5 rounds. Could have finished the fight at any moment, but she's getting some experience, some more experience in there. And the arrow is pointed up. Who has this lady not faced? Put her in there against Cyborg. I think that would be a solid matchup. I'd like to hear if you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel and liking the video. That would be a big plus for us at this stage in the game. And let me know, who would you like to see Larissa Pacheco face next? Because it seems like she doesn't have much competition. She's another fighter who, she's the incredible growing lady who she's, as some folks have said, harvested the fruits and vegetables and continues to develop more muscularity every time you see her out and a mean streak as well. So cheers to Larissa Pacheco in that matchup. Then we have Denis Goltsov, who I believe was a significant favorite yesterday, and he gets knocked out by Henan Ferreira. Ferreira, I believe, 6'9" or around that height. That was an athletic specimen doing what he does best here. And what can you say? What can you say? I'll be honest, though. I think that Ferreira, that was a high watermark for him in his career. I think that if you put him up against many of the competitors in that division, he will either get starched or submitted. And I don't think that the talent is as high as some other folks in other promotions. And Goltsov, he's got to go back to the drawing board here. Tough look there to come up short like that on in the co-main. Then let's talk main event of the evening, where we have Olivier Aubin-Mercier defeating Clay Collard. And OAM, this is the second time he's walked away with $1 million. Last year, he said he was probably going to take some time off. He didn't. And he came back, won it again. I do believe this time around he's going to take a year off. And I think that would do him some good. Also, just mentally, as Georges St. Pierre said, when you are the champion, you have a target on your back. And that's a tough thing to deal with because you're going to get everyone's A game. They want that belt. They want that title. They want the namesake of being the champion. And OAM, I've been to, I remember when OAM fought Carlos Diego Ferreira. I was at his fight. I believe that was 2016 or so. And he took a loss there. And I believe that Carlos Diego Ferreira popped by USADA after that fight. And OAM, we've seen, I believe he took a loss to Alex Hernandez at one point. But look at the career resurgence here for OAM. Impressive, very impressive. He's somebody who is well-rounded, well-versed, has a great head on his shoulders. He's a minimalist, and he fights economically. It's a beautiful thing to watch when fighters showcase many of their tools and they're unveiling new wrinkles every time out. And that's what we saw with OAM. And Clay Collard, he also someone who will not give up on himself. His game is nowhere near as well-rounded as OAM, and we saw that on full display for Collard. I know he was in the fight. But he could not produce a seminal moment. And sometimes when you're a fighter who's relying on a seminal moment, it may not come your way, and then you're up against the wall if you don't have a plan B, and that's what we saw take place last night with Clay Collard against OAM. And OAM, veteran of the game, and how much has GSP rubbed off on him? That is a beautiful thing to watch when you have a champion take someone under their wing and develop them, and that is what took place there between OAM and GSP. So cheers to them. It was a solid card last night. I didn't have any action on it though. I was sitting back and watching, observing, taking notes, and sometimes that's the best way to do it. If you for instance, the Derek Brunson fight, that fight against Ray Cooper, red flags galore. There were many red flags in a few fights. Even the Chris Wade, Bubba Jenkins fight, red flags all over the place. Ray Cooper missing weight, Derek Brunson. We've seen the chin issues, the cardio issues in the past, but cheers to everybody who were able to cash on Brunson in that spot. And cheers to you for tuning in today. Look out for many other videos from here to Kingdom Come. I'll be putting out a ton of them. So thank you for your time, your energy. Happy belated Thanksgiving. And remember, we've got UFC Austin next week. I believe there are only 3 more cards on the docket for UFC this year. And we're having a tremendous year. This is 6 consecutive winning years that will be in the books at the end of 2023, and the arrows pointed up. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking the video, and go get what's yours, my brothers. Have a great day.